All right, everybody, welcome to Unscripted One-on-One. And today I have another guest with me, another Hilliard resident. We have Coach Tim Congrove from Hilliard Davidson High School. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce you. We got a lot to talk about today. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself a little bit. Tell us a little bit about you, tell the audience about you, and then we'll get started from there.
All right. As you said, Coach Congrove, Tim Congrove, head basketball coach over at Hilliard Davidson. Originally from Circleville, got a wife, new baby girl. She's going to be 9 months on Monday. So she's growing like a weed. And yeah, it's a little bit about me, I guess.
That's awesome. You get to be a girl dad. How about that?
I am. And I tell you what, we've been pretty blessed, man. It's she's such a sweet girl. And she's been, for a baby, from what I hear, she's been pretty laid back. You know, she's not a big crier. So I think we got pretty lucky there, but you can see her personality starting to grow. You know, she's starting to talk more, eat real foods. She's crawling.
Yeah.
She's keeping us busy. I was rushing around, you know, making sure I got here on time. So
yeah. Well, if she interrupts during the thing, hey, I'm a girl dad, you know, we're fellow girl dad, we're good. It's all good. It happens. That's why it's unscripted. So it's fine if there's any interruptions. Or if you got to run out of the room for some reason, that's okay too.
Okay.
So, all right. So let's start. We got a lot to go through. So, and you're like, man, I don't even have any clue what that means. So, I thought we'd start by going backwards. And then we'll look at the today and then the future. So to give you just a small preview, but first of all, I have so much respect for you as a coach. Obviously you coached my son, and so there's always that level of respect for any coach of your kid, and you'll see that as your daughter gets older. But you know, just sitting in the good seats behind the bench at Davidson, right? The ones with the backs on them, you know, getting to watch the team and just you know, mold and shape that team. And so that's what I want to start with by going back a little bit is, so, and I don't know if you know this, you probably do, but we're talking the 2019 team, right? It's 2018, 2019 year.
Yep.
So just for our audience, just to give a little history, myself and Brian Dries and, you know, Coach Stimmel put that team together as a travel team. And that was back, and I don't know if they're still doing this. I think they are, which is a fantastic program for Davidson basketball. Yep. But we put that team as third graders in a fourth grade league. So Austin, Jacob Dries, Caleb Stimmel, Royer, really the whole team, Carson, Felicity, Christian, Gilliam. The whole squad, basically that entire core team, third graders in a fourth grade league, and we got our hat handed to us every game. I mean, we were really out, but you know, it taught them something. And then we came back the next year and they weren't so deer in headlights, and they played fourth grade in a fourth grade league. And you know, our goal when we handed them off to the middle school was to have taught them, you know, how to be good teammates, how to care about each other, how to play tough defense. We ran off, you know, those things. So I'm going to let you take it from there and just talk about because you had some insight into that team early on too, not just their senior year. So I'm going to let you take it from there. They don't want to hear me talk. I want to hear you talk.
So yeah, I would say, if I'm remembering correctly, I believe that class they were eighth graders my first year at Weaver, my first year in Hilliard. You know, when Court came over and he kind of brought me over as his JV coach. And so I was over there teaching in Weaver and getting to know those guys firsthand.
Yeah.
So a special class in that fact for me, because I've seen them, you know, kind of grow up and got to know them well throughout their whole time here.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, that group, you know, you mentioned a lot of them. I'll read through it. I did refresh a little bit on 2019 because I knew you were going to ask me that. No, but you know, we had 10 seniors, and those guys included Jacob Dries, Ethan Royer, Joey Maynard, Deshaun Stokes, Caleb Stimmel, your son, obviously Austin, Cole Kasmerzak, Carson Felicity, Zach Mayer, and Christian Gillen. And you know, I don't think, you know, I realized how special that group was until looking back. And it's one of those things I sit there and go, man, we talked how many times, you know, I'm constantly talking about, hey, high school basketball. You know, the relationships you make, you know, you're not going to remember wins and losses, who scored how many. It's about the relationships. And that group was such a family. You know, it was very special. You know, what you guys started in third grade.
Right.
You know, definitely set the foundation, I'm sure. And to watch those kids grow was awesome.
Yeah, it's funny. You mentioned Stokes. So about, I think it was, I don't want to say it was our third, it might have been fourth, it might have been the fifth grade year. I don't remember when he moved into town, but we had heard this kid, we'd already locked in the team. You know, we had tryouts, we were good. And then we heard this rumor that this kid moved into town. And Brian can tell you too, we did a private tryout, you know, and I think we brought like Austin and Jacob in and we just did some small stuff just to see, but he was raw as could be. And we're like, man, this kid's really raw, but there's so much potential there. And so, and that was Deshaun. Deshaun came in and man, to watch him grow and develop as a player was just incredible. And I remember Brian taking him down to the other basket while I'm running practice on one side and just teaching him how to go off the right foot. You know, like but there was so much potential there, just so much athleticism. So what a team. I mean, it was a lot of fun.
And speaking of Deshaun, again, he was one, you know, I don't know how many coaches, Aaron, I talked to before that season going, man, like talking about having 10 seniors.
Right, right.
And you know, keeping all those guys. And I was like, man, you know, what would you do here? You know, I've reaching out to Court again, obviously, and Damon Goodwin, who coached me at Capitol, and Coach Young, who's out at Walsh, and some other high school coaches, my old high school coach, Doug Stuyvesant and Logan Elm, you know, just kind of picking their brain. But, you know, I'm so glad that we, you know, it's hard having 10 seniors. Well, you know, I was a little worried as far as like, you know, everybody I talked to is like, well, good luck with the parents, because, you know, having 10 seniors and some of them not seeing the floor, you know, that can be hard sometimes.
Right.
But, you know, it was awesome. And I give credit to that class and that group of kids so much. But Deshaun, he was one that he actually didn't play, if you remember, his junior year. We actually kept him. You know, he was one I was going back and forth with. You know what I mean? But again, like you said, he has so much potential, and he really grew and took his junior year to take care of his academics and get the job done on that end. You know, and really, he just showed a lot of maturity. And you know, we felt like we had to, you know, keep him around and keep him with that group of kids and keep him going in the right direction. And, you know, he's an outstanding kid, all of them. Again, talking about high character kids and being high character on the basketball court and what that looks like, and high character off the basketball court. You know, it was just from top to bottom. Yeah. So.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because that was something I was going to mention to you, was as one of those parents, you know, but honestly, the way I looked at it, Coach, was I always looked at it and said, man, and we'll talk about this in a second, but I looked at the next year. And so it's funny you mentioned that, because I always wondered, like, man, that's a tough decision that you had, because the reality is there are programs, and you know, maybe even some of the coaches you mentioned, I don't know, and that's not a knock on those programs. There are programs that would have said, guys, I'm going to have to cut you, because these guys behind you, I got to get them time. We got to integrate them into this, because I can't go into next year and go 0-20 or whatever, right? Because I'm going to lose this whole team, is in essence. And I appreciated that. When there was never for me, there was never a frustration when my son got to come and grind and be with his friends and work hard and learn from a team. And I guarantee you, I know after this season that's the greatest team and time he's ever had, including baseball. He's been on some great baseball teams, but he loved that basketball team. And so for me, I was always very appreciative that you didn't cut when you could have. You had every right to cut that roster down, bring up the younger guys, let them gain that experience. And so that was a tough call, but I think from my seat, you made the right one. But man, I congratulate you on that.
I appreciate you saying that, because that means a lot. And, you know, I do. I appreciate that. But it's a great group of kids, and that's obviously reflected by a great group of parents. So,
yeah. Well, that's awesome. And true story. I actually talked to Austin today. I was going to try and surprise you. I was going to bring in, what time is it? It's 6. So I was going to, and I promise you it's not going to happen, but at 6:15, at 6:15, I was going to let those guys get in the waiting room. I was going to try and reach out and get them guys to come in. And I was going to let them all in and say, I think we got a guest. And I was going to let them all in. It was going to be really, really cool. And unfortunately,
that would have been awesome.
Yeah, man. So the thought was there, but the reason why it didn't happen, here's why it didn't happen. Austin's got baseball. Drees probably got basketball.
Yep.
Caleb's got golf.
Yep.
Royer probably has football. And again, so that I got chills just thinking about it, because that goes to your point, and that is those are character guys. They were great athletes, and they're still playing today, which is a credit to the fact that you coached them up. You know, I mean, they're playing on, they moved on, and they're playing at the next level, whatever sport it was. Great team. We could probably talk about it for hours. I know I could, because I loved watching the ride. It was a great ride.
Absolutely. And, like I said, I refreshed a little bit. Got back on Huddle. I like to do that every now and then, and I'll watch some of those old games. But that was one, that season, I think, man, we had probably 4 or 5 games. There were just so many things that went right that year. You know what I mean? 4 or 5 games that were like buzzer beater games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You talk about the Liberty game at home,
Right.
Bradley game, like the Olentangy game in the tournament out of Marysville. Like those kids, there's a part of it with, like, they were just ready. They were competitors. You know what I mean? They just, I can't say enough good things about them. They were a very special group.
Yeah. So let's transition, and I'll tell you what Zach Fleer said later. I'm not going to tell you now, because no. But I will tell you, he mentioned Christian's shot at Bradley. And he said it was one of the most amazing basketball games he's ever seen. And I agree that the energy in the gym that night, wow, what a game. You had to see it. You had to be there. It just was awesome. I mean, just an unbelievable ride. Unbelievable ride.
That was literally, and talk to my wife or anybody that knows me real well. It's hard to make me tear up or anything, but man, after that game, those guys, I was so proud of them.
Yeah.
It really was, like you said, one of the best games. I've been around a lot of basketball myself, and I played I was part of a team that was at Walsh in the national championship, ranked number 1 in the nation. We had some buzzer beater games in that tournament. You could probably find it on YouTube. Jeremy Chardon, some shots. But my point is, being a part of some really good games. Talk about Westerville South a few years ago when we upset them when Court was coaching. Travis Moore hit that shot. Been a part of so many good games, and Bradley, man, that top notch. Definitely on top of my list.
Yeah.
Just the way that played out. So.
Yeah. Incredible game. So
credit to the kid.
Yeah. So let's transition now. So you lose essentially the entire team. You kept one guy coming back because
Gage coming back. And originally we saw Evan Tekantic was the other junior that honestly the summer before he played really well and had a really good summer, and we kind of expected him to kind of be in that mix. Whether it was going through a football season, just kind of being rusty and kind of a slow start that kind of, we went different directions or whatever. But yeah, Gage was our, he started for us as a junior. And with that class, in 2019, and he was our one guy coming back, when we were looking at it, and I'm looking at it going, okay, even if we keep these 10 guys, we've got Gage coming back. He can be the center, of our offense, the guy we focus our offense through, and we can put shooters around him with some of these younger guys coming up through. And then, you can't be mad at all. He decided to go to Minnesota. He's got opportunities to play football at a high level. And that's one of those things. He came in and told me that, later that spring after the season. And it was just, I don't know if he was a little nervous or not, but it was one of those things like you can't be mad at him for wanting to do that. And he's got such a good opportunity. And I'm excited to see him. I hear he's going to be playing maybe here coming up soon. So that's
right. That's right. Yep. Big announcement today. Yeah. I was actually just texting with him yesterday or the day before. So we're trying to nail down a time for him to come on, because I want to talk about that as much as he can. That's going to be some dangerous ground, because I don't want to break it. I don't want to put somebody in a violation, right? So, but I'd love to talk to him, and I'd love to hear from him and how that experience is. But yeah, so you lose essentially the whole team.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I mean, after going deep in the playoffs, it's like LeBron leaving the Cavs and then just gutting the team, right? So what does that look like as a high school coach? How do you keep guys inspired when they're looking around and going, hey, there's no Jacob Dries, there's no Christian Boone, there's no Deshaun. How did you bring them back?
So, again, I've got to give credit to this senior group that we had this year. And I'll tell anybody, the season didn't quite turn out how we wanted to, obviously. We won 4 games. But they continue to come battle every practice. It's a lot about mindset, responding the right way when things don't go your way, and that sort of, conversation. And they really did a good job of that. I think it was like 4 games in, Evan Tekantic, one of my other seniors coming back, separated his shoulder, and he was out for the rest of the season. Ryan Paris, who was kind of my next, he's a sophomore, kind of scorer that we had coming off, he broke his wrist, about halfway through the season, was out for maybe a few games with that. He's had his hand in a cast. So there was a lot of things you can look at and go, man, that didn't go our way. But again, they just did such a good job of having that positive mindset. And, I'm not going to take all the credit for that, because we do a lot of that within Hilliard, as
Right.
I'm sure, in the schools. But they came to battle every day, competed in practice and games. And so, I credit that to that senior class too, of keeping those guys up. And yeah, so.
Did you guys, and I feel like I was talking to Stacy Ratterman, and I said, well, last year, take me back to last year, and I'm thinking, man, it was March. Like, it was still this year. It feels like, but
Yeah.
let's talk about, so let me think. So spring sports were in, so you guys got to play a full season then, right?
We did. Now, so I want to say it was the tournament for basketball was kind of, I forget if it was regional semifinals or regional finals. I think actually, like, Bradley might have gotten their regional semifinal game in.
Right. Yep.
And the game that was supposed to play after that, they shut it down.
You're right.
So yep. Kind of right about that period. So we had gotten our season in and finished. But yeah, that was rough for the spring season as well. I mean, obviously those teams that were still in it, you look back and, I know Bradley was looking at like, hey, this was going to be their year. They had the Alaco, was really good. Yep. Obviously Morris, Mergon and the Mayfield brothers, and they were looking to make a run there, but that it really was unfortunate for all those seniors, that are ending their season that way.
Yeah.
And again, you get to spring and they don't even get to have anything.
Yeah.
And so, that's one thing. Looking at it from a positive here now, just trying to do what we can to have something for this group of seniors. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think they probably look at it and say, man, I just want to play. Last year was probably like, oh, you can't take this away. And you're right. That's that shift in mindset for sure. Is last year was, oh, we deserve whatever. Now they just want to play. Just give me a game, get the gym open, So with that, what's it been like? Have you had access to the gym? Have they been, I know Mount Vernon was practicing outside on asphalt courts because they're, Mount Vernon, Nazarene, that is. So, what's it been like? What access have you had? Have you been able to practice?
It's been different. So we in the summer, we were able to kind of go a little bit kind of into June, early July. We were phased back in. And again, every school district was different. So what we were doing is not the same as, maybe what the Dublin schools or Olentangy or whoever is doing. And so we were kind of phased back in, that phase 1 was you can't share a basketball. It's taking temperatures, monitoring, a lot of protocol there, wiping stuff down, wearing masks, keeping kids separated. So, again, the mindset is at least we're able to be here, what I mean? Could be completely shut down. And that was, again, what we're talking to our kids, because, that it was hard for them, I think, because there's kids that are going to play AAU, they might be doing travel baseball or whatever. Yep. Everything's still going full go. And then coming back here and, hey, we got to do things a certain way. But again, it's one of those things like, hey, we could at least get some skill work in, lifting, conditioning, and do that. So, we got to, I want to say we were right about to the end of phase 2, and each phase was a couple weeks. And that's when they kind of shut everybody down again, kind of their late July, started fall sports back up. We were kind of put on hold while they're figuring stuff out for fall sports. And then, I believe it was last Tuesday was the 8th that we were allowed to start back up. So, again, we're back in the gym doing 4-man workouts, lifting, conditioning, some open gyms here and there. And, it's just been, again, having been shut down for so long, it's just nice being back in the gym, seeing kids on the court, out on the football field, on campus.
Yeah.
It's been really nice. So
yeah, man, sometimes you just give anything to get back in the gym,
absolutely.
right? I mean, that's awesome. That first practice had to be awesome.
Oh, absolutely. The kids get a little bit of a sense of, hey, we're falling behind. They're seeing everybody else do all this other stuff. But again, we're back in the gym. We're able to start teaching a little offense in our 4-man workouts and things like that. And you can almost hold it a little more practice-like with those 4-man workouts when we can teach and stuff. And so it's, again, get a sweat going and see them compete against each other. It's awesome.
That's right. So that leads us to this year. And you want to hear what Fleer said before or after?
I don't care. Up to you, man.
All right. So great conversation with that guy, by the way. He is unbelievable. And I asked him for a 2020 preview, and it was during our shotgun round. And so he had to fly through it. And the amount of knowledge of players, like he named like pretty much every starting 5, pretty much on every team in the city. But I will say he did say Hilliard Davidson is one to watch out for. I think he talked about 2 transfers. Is it 2 transfers?
So,
Hilliard Davidson's the one to watch for.
Yes. Speaking of new guys, we have 2 brothers, the Fry brothers, who have lived in the district. So they've been on our district since they were little. Went to St. Brendan's and then went to St. Charles. So Jared Fry, he's the junior this year. He's getting a lot of attention from some colleges and, a really good player. His little brother is a sophomore. They're both right about 6'5". And then, definitely going to help there. Little size. And Jared's more of a, he combo guard. He could run the point. He's probably going to have the ball in his hands a good bit for us. We're going to be able to put him all over the floor. He can play with his back to the basket a little bit. And can shoot it from, pretty much as soon as he's one of those guys. He reminds you of Caleb Stimmel, right? As soon as he walks in the gym, he's open.
It's going up.
Yeah. So, his little brother Peyton is a little bit more of like that stretch 4 type of guy. He's a little thicker, post up, but can knock it down from outside. And then the other one he was probably talking about is a kid from North Carolina his mom's in the military. And so he said they move every 4 years, which I'm sure is difficult.
Yeah.
But he came from Moravian Prep, which is a pretty good team program if you've ever heard of them.
Absolutely.
And he's about 6'6". He's a guard. And he can shoot it. He's pretty skilled. So those are those new guys. And adding them in with you got Ryan Paris. I kind of mentioned him a little bit earlier.
Yep.
Man, he's had an awesome summer for us. He's starting to grow a little bit. I don't know. Do you know his dad?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
Dad's 6'7", right? Sister 6'3", playing volleyball at Kentucky. And he's waiting on his growth spurt here. So he started to hit that a little bit. He's gained a little weight, gotten a little stronger. And man, talk about a kid that can shoot, and his work ethic, Aaron, is just out the roof.
Awesome.
He's one of those guys you almost got to tell him to take a break, force him to take a break sometimes to recover, take care of his body, that type of stuff. He's going to play a big role for us again this year too. We got Daniel Nider. I don't know if you know him. He's another junior, and some of those football guys coming back. Johnny Weir is in that junior class as well. Jaden Humphrey's a senior for us. Jack Fannin, those some football guys. So we'll see how they look coming off football.
That's right.
That into shape, basketball shape, I should say. But it's we've got some skill, so some firepower there.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. You turn on the lights and practice starts, and you got 3 guys walking in 6'5" or over. It's a good start. It's a good start.
You can't be tight, right?
Right, absolutely, man. That's a good place to start. And I'll tell you a quick story. I just remembered this when Austin moved into Mount Vernon. There's a kid that's playing at Mount Vernon. I wish I could remember his name, but he played for what was the team you guys beat? Taze Valley.
Oh, yeah.
Their best player. I don't remember off the top of my head his name. But anyway, he goes to Mount Vernon. He's on Mount Vernon's basketball team. So the day we're moving in, we're walking around. Everybody's kind of freshmen, just kind of getting to know each other. And he's like, hey, where are you from? And he didn't remember Austin, being on team. And he's like, I went to Davidson. He goes, oh, you played there? And he goes, man, that team was huge. It was like he said,
really, man, probably one of the biggest teams I will ever see at the high school level. You talk about, again, Gage 6'5", probably 235 at the time. Christian and Jake being 6'7", 6'7". Listen, maybe they were 6'6".
Whatever.
6'7", whatever. And then we started Ethan and Caleb. They're both 6'3", but all the way across the board, I don't think we had a guy under 6'2". You know what I mean?
It was huge. And that's what he said. I think his name's Ryan. I want to say his name's Ryan, but it was really funny because he's like, man, I mean, his face he goes, and he named them all. He's like Drees, Gage, Gilliam. Like he goes, man, going up against you guys, he look over and that team was huge. So it was funny, man. And that's good to hear you got size again. That's a great place to start. So he also mentioned Bradley. I know there's some competitive fire in there, like Duke Carolina, but he did mention Bradley. I would be surprised you got a Norris there.
Whole OCC Central Division.
Yeah. Well, that's what he said. He said it's a gauntlet. He said it's a gauntlet. So yeah. Well, I hope you guys get a full season, man. And it, like I said, it's been fun. Let me ask you too, are you guys still doing kind of the grassroots effort, starting them young and just keeping them running in the program? You guys still doing that with travel?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's one thing we've been talking about a little bit right now, especially with the COVID stuff. We'll see how this year pans out with what we're allowed to do. But we've been, the past few years, I think, man, it's just been growing. I think we've gotten to the point where we've had about 4 6th grade teams, about 3 5th grade teams, and then 2 and 2 with 4th and 3rd grade. So that program, again, it was going on before I got there, but man, it's such a great foundation for our program, and for the high school level, and it's great. So and with that program, I got to mention there's so many parent volunteers that are doing stuff, helping out, just out of the kindness of their heart, and that really goes a long way. And we really appreciate all those people that have their hands on these kids, and like you said, help molding them and teaching them the right way to play, and helping these kids grow, so develop.
Yeah, it's neat as someone that coached both boys and girls. I'm not going to say because I know that was a special team that you had, but and my favorite team I ever had was that girls team that Bree was on, and Emma, Royer. That's where there's a Royer on every good team, right?
Yes.
But man, that team, Kaufman, I could list that, and I'm telling you, I love that team was my favorite team. I think we had 7 different presses we would run out. We started every game by trying to get the other team to have a timeout. And every time we would, me and myself and Greg Kaufman would just fist bump, and the girls got into it. They soccer players, Lindsay Stoll, right? I mean, you're talking grit, toughness, and just girls that could just get after it on the basketball court. So we would defend like crazy, man. I love that team. So it's awesome to see it on the girls' side too. So how's that girls' team looking this year? Like, because there's not too many of those girls still playing. I think Royer's still playing. I know Bree is still playing.
Yeah, Bree's still playing. I think they're going to be pretty solid. They got some younger girls. I will tell you, they've got a freshman that's going to be pretty good. You should keep your eye out for. Her name's Gwen Jenkins, I believe. You talk about skilled. I imagine she'll be playing varsity. We'll see. But
wow,
you should, if you get a chance to check them out. We'll be live streaming. We got a new camera in the gym.
Okay. All right. Nice.
We'll be live streaming our games. You'll be able to see it.
Nice.
But definitely check them out. And I think they'll be pretty tough. You talk about that tough and grit that, the Royers are always bringing, and Bree has, and they'll be tough. So,
yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. I appreciate you. We're right at that half hour. I appreciate you coming on. For your first podcast, you did very well. I think. I don't know. I don't even know if I'm doing well. We'll find out.
You are doing really well. I appreciate it. Make it easy here for me.
Yeah, no, good. I mean, it's just you and me talking, and I look forward to. I hope we get to get in the gym and watch and cheer on the team, especially if you got that kind of height, man. Now my interest is real up now, so I want to see that on the court. So and actually, before I forget, the other thing he mentioned was he said one of the guys is like the number 2 prospect, correct?
Yeah, well, that's probably his, opinion, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, he's probably talking about Jared Fry, the junior. That was at St. Charles. Like I said, he's been playing. He played for St. Charles as a freshman. So you'll see when we start playing. He can fill it up in a hurry, and he's tough. Being 6'5", he's a lefty. He can do a little bit of everything. So
awesome.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Well, I'll tell you what. 2019, you had the winning hand, and the next year once you put that hand in, you reshuffled the deck, and it wasn't quite as good, but it sounds like you got yourself a good hand, and I can't wait to see you play it out there on the court. So thanks so much. This was fun. I appreciate your leadership. I appreciate, again, just to recap, I appreciate you keeping 10 seniors. Those 10 seniors will never forget that. And knowing what was ahead the next year for you, that meant a lot to those guys. It meant a lot to us parents. And so thank you for doing that, and best of luck this year. You're going to be great.
Yep. Thank you.
Absolutely, Coach. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Sounds good.
Bye-bye.